The Atari Network is a fan channel and is not affiliated with Atari. The Atari logo and name is copyrights of their respective owners.
Back when Atari Corp re-released the Atari 2600 as the new, smaller and cheaper junior console, they also released a series of game cartridges that came in red boxes and had red labels. These games spanned a lot of Atari's history and provided people who were just discovering the 2600 for the first time the ability to pick up some of the best titles the 2600 had to offer. But the red box games also included brand new games that had never been released before. So the red boxes didn't really signify anything other than the fact that the games were being released or re-released near the end of the console's long lifespan. But which red box games are worth playing today? Well, I have 5 recommendations of these red box games that I think most people will enjoy if they give them a solid chance. So get comfortable, grab a drink, and stay tuned as I list off 5 Atari 2600 red box games that you should try as soon as possible. In Roadrunner, you play as the titular Looney Tunes character as you try to outrun and escape from Wile E. Coyote. There's some great variety here, and boy is this game challenging, to me at least. You have to try and get Wile E. Coyote to run into oncoming traffic, run into dynamite, and you need to collect birdseed to maintain your speed. In later levels, he uses his iconic rockets to try and catch up to you and capture you. I feel like this game represents the popular cartoon series well, but it's anything but a kid's game. People of all ages should get a kick out of this brilliant and well-done video game. Wile E. Coyote follows your Roadrunner to a T, so try and use that to your advantage to get him to run into obstacles while you try to avoid those same ones. But later, traps come into play, and this game just has excellent progression all the way around. You might have skipped over this game because the subject matter doesn't appeal to you or because you think it's a children's game, but you're doing yourself a huge disservice in doing so. Give it a try. I think you'll find it's better than you could have ever imagined. So I think a lot of people thought that Roadrunner was the kid-friendly game of this list. But honestly, Mousetrap would be my recommendation for young kids, who you might want to introduce to the Atari 2600. While Roadrunner is very challenging and difficult, Mousetrap is very much an easier maze game than, say, something like Pac-Man. And it has a ton of charm. You move around the maze collecting dots and avoiding cats as you would expect. But there are a few curveballs thrown into the gameplay to make it stand out. Number 1, you can collect the power-ups and use them when you decide the time is right, something I wished for in Pac-Man games back in the day. And when you use the power-up, you're briefly turned into a bulldog that can chase the cats outside of the maze for a while. You can also walk up to the blinking walls, and hold the button down to move not only the one you're next to, but all of the blinking walls. This helps to not only get the dots in the middle, but can save you by trapping or blocking off cats who are giving chase. This version of Mousetrap is missing some things from other consoles, but overall it's very approachable and a great game for young kids that you want to introduce to the console. And I'm not ashamed to say that I like it too. Also, this game was originally created by Coleco, but Atari gained the rights to this one, along with Donkey Kong Jr., and other games to release red box versions for. Pretty cool, huh? Radar Lock is an absolutely incredible game for the Atari 2600. Think about Afterburner by Sega. That's Radar Lock in a nutshell, and yes, it plays fantastic. Who would have thought such a game would have not only have been possible on the 2600, but it would play as good as this one does? You engage with the large enemy fleet and start off destroying enemies with a single hit, but soon you will take on faster enemies that not only require more hits, but also move about the screen more, dodging your shots and taking aim at you as well. If you get hit by an enemy, your jet is toast, but you have a couple in reserve. You can also blow up if you run out of fuel, and at the very end of every mission, you'll need to speed ahead to the fuel jet and dock with it in order to finish and move on. Everything from the initial takeoff of your plane to the aerial dogfights and docking are done extremely well. and this game should not only satisfy 2600 fans, but impress them. I honestly think every Atari fan should give Radar Lock a try. Defender 2 was originally known as Stargate, but renamed to Defender 2 during its Redbox release. And honestly, that title makes more sense to me, because I doubt many people would have realized that a game called Stargate was a sequel to Defender. The game is pretty much the same as the previous one, as you attempt to defend citizens from invaders who want to abduct them. And it runs great on the 2600. I find the radar to be a bit too dark on my CRT TV, but I usually don't have a problem tracking down the alien threats and saving my low people. It's nice that they give a little scream when they're being abducted, so I know to track them down. There are quite a bit of obstacles to avoid, and the game runs extremely well, even when you're flying at fast speeds. But you're going to have to be ready for a challenge, as this game pulls no punches. A lot of the enemies are on you as soon as they see you, or attempt to track you down kamikaze style. Atari Redbox games have had a lot of classics gracing the packaging, but I think Defender 2 is one that most people should give a try, especially if you're a fan of the original. Solaris is an earlier game than Radar Lock, and it's quite a bit more ambitious as well. You play as a space vessel that can engage in combat in open space, but also enter planets' atmospheres as well. There is a nice variety of different enemy fleets to engage with, and a nice variety of things to do as well. But it's all pretty difficult to understand without some sort of manual or guide. You can still have fun exploring space and seeing what all the icons mean, but you'll need to refuel to have any hope of playing for more than a little while. It reminds me a lot of Radar Lock in its combat, but you can actually steer around a bit more in the environments, which makes it feel as though you have more control of your ship. If you're looking for a space adventure along the lines of Star Raiders but with more impressive graphics, then Solaris might be just the game you've been looking for. And there you have it. 5 Redbox games that I recommend trying if you're interested in this era of Atari. I loved the Redbox games because they were the 2600 games that were around when the 7800 was on retail shelves. They effectively felt like budget 7800 titles for that reason, and I love them. But again, you can get classics from Atari and even other companies like Coleco in these red boxes. So feel free to track down Space Invaders, Yours Revenge, Millipede, and more, if you like this red box style. I personally bought 2 of these games brand new from Video 61 Atari sales, which has a huge inventory of factory sealed 2600 and 7800 games, and they even carry cartridge only copies and exclusive homebrews. And I paid much less for Defender 2 and Mousetrap than what people were asking for unsealed copies on eBay, so be sure to check them out. Also, be sure to try these and other Redbox games if you have the chance. Okay guys, this has been the 7800 Pro System Gamer on behalf of the Atari Network, and I want to thank you all for checking out my video on Atari 2600 Redbox games. Stay classy, Atarians.